The brands that win in the market develop their product lineup strategically. Most beverage brands don't have a product strategy, they have a product collection. And I promise you, there is a massive difference between one and the other. One wins in the market, the other quietly competes with itself, confuses distributors, confuses sales teams, and bleeds momentum. Today, we're going to talk about what separates the brands that scale from the ones that stall. And it starts with how you think about and develop your product lineup. First, I want to talk about the difference between a product collection and a product lineup. You may be sitting there and asking yourself, I have a product lineup. What are you talking about? Well, let me explain it. A product lineup is a group of products that you produced or developed with strategic intent that work as a cohesive unit. A product collection is exactly that. It's a collection or group of products that were developed singularly with no interconnecting strategy or intent that allows them to operate as a cohesive winning unit, complementing each other as opposed to competing with each other. I see it so often with brands. The owner likes a style or flavor, the production team likes to create or brew that style or flavor. Maybe a distributor asked for one, or maybe you heard about a new trend that you want to chase. Products start competing with each other for the same customer, the same account, the same shelf space because the lineup has become reactive instead of intentional. Distributors don't know what to lead with. It's hard for them to execute and scale the brand. Shoot, your sales team doesn't know what to sell, where to sell it, how to sell it. And because of this, the brand stalls. Not because your products are bad, but because there's no system underneath them. That's the difference between a product collection and a product lineup. A collection's accumulated over time. A lineup is designed with intention and strategic insight, where every SKU has a defined role. Products work together as a cohesive winning unit, and your sales priorities are so clear that distributors and your sales team know exactly what to push, where to push it, and when. That's what we're building toward so that your brand becomes a winner in the market. So, how to create that? Let's start with how we conceptualize it. I love to think about it like a basketball roster, okay? It starts with understanding that every product you develop needs to be developed to fit into and succeed in a specific role, a role that should fit into a larger picture of your entire product lineup so that it can all function together as a cohesive unit. Think about putting together a successful basketball team. You don't just throw 5 random players with random skill sets and attributes out onto the court and hope that it goes well. That's how you become the Sacramento Kings the last 20 years, okay? So, we don't want 5 point guards on the floor at one time. We don't want 5 centers on the floor at one time. We want products that have attributes that complement each other and that allow us to work toward our overall goal. So, before we go any further, I want you to start thinking on a very general level what products you have in your portfolio and what roles they could potentially fill. If you're not sure, that's okay. That's what we're going to work through today. And in the next few minutes, you're going to start to equip yourself with the strategies that will allow you to not only develop products, but refine your current products so that they can work together effectively as a unit. Because great rosters are built with purpose. Every player, and in this case product, has a defined role. And the team wins because those roles complement each other, not because every player is trying to be the star. For a team to be built, and I've been on basketball teams or worked with basketball teams where players don't even know their own role and it's hard for them to succeed. Again, it's not because your products are bad, it's because you don't have clearly defined roles that set each product up for success. Your product lineup is just like a basketball roster. Let's walk through each of the 4 roles. Role 1 is your volume and new customer builder. Think about this product like James Harden in his prime. Okay, it's a volume scorer. Maybe it's not your best overall player, but he is going to get distribution. And when we talk about distribution, we mean the ball, the ability to score and create in volume. Okay, Like I said, he's not the most efficient scorer on the floor, but he takes a high volume of shots, puts up real numbers, and forces the defense to react and shift. This product is going to do the same thing for your brand. This is the SKU that introduces your brand to the Market X scale. Okay? It lowers the barrier to first-time trial. Very often, this is a variety pack. I talk to so many brands and tell them, especially in beer, that we got way too far away from variety packs when craft was at its peak and going through the hype cycle. Okay? A brand that used to do this very effectively at the start of and even before the craft craze was Magic Hat. They had 4 different beers, 4 different styles at a good price point. It was very accessible, and it was very effective for them bringing new customers and engaging them with the brand. Okay? This is what you want your volume and new customer builder to do. It gives retailers confidence to take a chance on your brand. Okay? It gives distributors something that they can confidently get behind early and know that they can create initial momentum that they can then scale. It may not carry your highest margin, which we'll get into in other videos, but it creates something far more valuable than margin. It creates momentum, and it also creates engagement. And that momentum and engagement is what's going to turn your brand from an idea into a presence, and from a presence into a priority, whether it be for salespeople, distributors, retailers, across the chain, and in the market. When this product works, everything else in your lineup becomes easier to sell. It quietly builds that leverage for every other product behind it. Again, think about it like James Harden, okay? A defense cannot lose sight of James Harden, which makes it easier for all of the other products to score and execute effectively in their roles. The next role, the second role, is the flagship. Think about this one like Kobe Bryant in his prime. When you think of Kobe, you think of the Lakers. And really, when you think of the Lakers, even still to some extent, you think of Kobe. You can have a roster filled with other good players, but without a really high-level flagship, your brand is not going to be that championship-level winning brand. Okay? So, think about prime Kobe Bryant. High skill, high efficiency, great energy. The other products or players can gravitate to and feed off of that energy, and he's trusted in every situation. The offense runs through him. He's the player that enables your lineup to win championships. Okay? Your flagship needs to play that exact same role. This is the product that everybody, or at least the average consumer, knows your brand for. When they think of your brand, they should think of this product. When a retailer or distributor thinks of you, this should be the first product that comes to mind, the first SKU that they picture. It's not the cheapest product in your lineup, and it's not the most expensive. It's the one that delivers the clearest promise to the market. It has balance, quality, price, and consistency at the highest level, performs well without heavy promotion. It can use promotion but doesn't rely on it, and reinforces your brand's credibility everywhere it goes. Here's what makes this role so critical. Everything else in your lineup exists to support the flagship. Even the volume creator, even that volume scorer like James Harden that's going to introduce new customers, even that is built to support and exist orbiting your flagship. Your volume product introduces new customers to the brand. Your seasonal builds around that, right? And your profit engine monetizes the demand that you've now created. When your flagship is weak or poorly defined, the entire lineup struggles. When it's strong, distributors lean in, retailers expand placements, and your brand earns long-term success and staying power. Role 3 is our seasonal. And it doesn't have to be a seasonal in terms of being related to a specific season of the year, like spring, summer, fall, or winter, but it should be a rotating product, usually on a bi-monthly or quarterly basis. Okay? The role 3 here is like Dennis Rodman on the 90s Bulls. He's invaluable, but only once that core is already in place. Rodman didn't win games on his own. And if Dennis Rodman was your franchise player, your franchise was probably in trouble for a number of reasons. But once players like Jordan and Pippen were in place and doing their jobs in their defined roles, Rodman's contributions made that team nearly impossible to beat. Seasonals work the same way. They give your brand rhythm. They create reason to re-engage with accounts, have timely conversations with your distributors, and they give consumers something new without destabilizing or detracting from the core lineup. When they're launched into accounts that already support your brand, they extend those relationships, increase order size, and reinforce your brand's relevance. Here's where brands have and still do get this wrong so often. They lead with seasonals before they've built the foundation. It was so common to see during the craft hype craze. Brands wanted to take those quick and easy wins, but without the volume and flagship strength underneath them, seasonals create the illusion of demand without any durability. And we've seen that play out in the craft beer market over the last few years. They underperform, they undermine your foundation, and they send the wrong signals to the market. Timed correctly though, seasonals become accelerants. They build on the momentum instead of trying to create it. So now let's talk about the fourth and final role. This is your profit engine. Think about Ray Allen on the Miami Heat playing next to LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. I think he was on that roster with Dwayne Wade. Anyway, he doesn't need the ball all game. Okay? He doesn't need to dominate. But when the moment is right, he hits the shot that changes the outcome, that takes your team, and in this case your product lineup, from being really good to being a championship team. Your profit engine works exactly the same way. This is your higher margin, lower velocity product. It's not meant to lead the lineup. Otherwise, you end up with Ray Allen on the Sonics when he was a rookie, and you have kind of a good team, but not really. This product's not meant to lead your lineup. It's meant to capitalize on the foundation you've already built. It sells best once that trust has already been established through your volume and flagship SKUs, and then even built on a little bit more with that seasonal SKU. When it's used correctly, it significantly improves the economics of your entire business model without putting pressure on price-sensitive accounts. The key word here is discipline. The product must never try to compete with your flagship, and it cannot attempt to become a volume driver. Again, think back to the craft hype phase, or haze phase, whatever. Think back to when craft was hot and was being built in an unscalable way. These products were the products that way too many brands led with and tried to establish that foundation with. This exists to convert opportunity into margin, and it only performs when the rest of your roster is already doing its job. Think about Stone and their limited releases. Most people who have never encountered the Stone brand aren't going off the street to buy a, I think, 6-pack of Double Bastard or one of their Fresh Buy bottles from back in the day. You need to have that volume foundation in place with the volume builder, with the flagship, and then building on it with the seasonal. This is the final step on that ladder. If you want to go deeper on each of these roles, the economics behind them, the attribute framework for pressure testing your products in your current lineup or collection, before you even launch or before you decide to start refining your lineup, I put it all together in our product lineup playbook. Links in the description. You can check it out on our website. It's 30 pages packed with value, and I guarantee you that after working through that, you're going to have a much clearer picture of how to build an effective, strong, winning product lineup and get rid of that product collection that you have. That's where the real wins start to pile up. Now here's why all this matters beyond just your own brand clarity. Distributors don't think about your products one at a time. They see your brand as an overall portfolio and hopefully as a product lineup and not a product collection. Okay? They need products that open doors, products that anchor accounts, products that stack margin onto existing orders and build profit, and products that add depth once that momentum is in place and exists. When your lineup fills and executes multiple roles well, you become easy to sell and easy to prioritize. When it doesn't, you just become work. And when distributors have very full portfolios in an increasingly tough beverage market, that's bad news for your brand. Okay? Work doesn't get prioritized. That's not a relationship problem, that's a structure problem. The more roles that your lineup fills effectively, the more valuable that your brand becomes to distributors. There's also a sequencing piece to this. Which products you need to lead with in which accounts, when, where, and that really helps your salespeople and your distributor teams get a clear picture on executing your brand efficiently and effectively so that they can succeed with it and then scale that success. Getting that wrong creates long-term drag, even when you're getting some short-term wins selling some products here and there, but it's not set up to scale. That's a deeper conversation, but I'm telling you, everything is covered in this playbook. There's worksheets, there's analysis that you can do so that you're not just reading through the concepts, you're applying it to your own brand. The brands that scale in the beverage industry don't have more products than everyone. They have better structure. They know exactly what every SKU is built to do, how it should be sold, and how it fits their larger system and lineup. That's not a coincidence, that's intention. Stop launching products reactively. Start building a lineup deliberately. Give every SKU a defined role. Make sure those roles complement each other instead of competing against each other. And build something that the market actually wants to prioritize. The product lineup playbook link is in the description. It's the full working framework for doing exactly what we covered today and then some with real depth. If this video was valuable, drop a like and subscribe because there's a lot more coming on product strategy, pricing, distribution, and just building brands that win in the market. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you actually know what role each of your SKUs is playing right now? Be honest, drop it below, and I always appreciate the support.